Texas school shooting before Game 4 of the West Finals, referring to the mass shooting that occurred at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas. Kerr's plea was one of many swift reactions across the sports world Tuesday to the news of an 18-year-old gunman opening fire at an elementary school in Texas, killing at least 19 children and 2 adults, as cited by a spokesman for the Texas Department of Public Safety. The suspect, a student at Uvalde High School who entered the elementary school with a handgun and possibly a rifle, is also dead. Texas Governor Greg Abbott said it's hard for Steve Kerr to focus on a game right now, rightfully so.
In the last 10 days, we've had elderly black people killed in a supermarket in Buffalo. We've had Asian churchgoers killed in Southern California, and now we have children murdered at school. When are we going to do something? I'm tired. I'm so tired of getting up here and offering condolences to the devastated families that are out there. I'm so tired of the, I'm tired of the moments of silence. Enough. We can't get numb to this. We can't sit here and just read about it and go, well, let's have a moment of silence. Yeah, go Dubs, you know. Come on, Mavs, let's go. That's what we're going to do. We're going to go play a basketball game. You realize that 90% of Americans, regardless of political party, want background check, universal background check. 90% of us, we are being held hostage by 50 senators in Washington who refuse to even put it to a vote, despite what we, the American people, want. They won't vote on it because they want to hold on to their own power. It's pathetic. I've had enough.
Steve Kerr, of course, lost his father to gun violence. There was an outpouring of reaction across the sports world. LeBron James tweeted, "My thoughts and prayers goes out to the family of the loved ones lost, injured at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas. Like, when is enough enough? These are kids, and we are putting them in harm's way at school. Like, seriously, at school, where it's supposed to be the safest." Meanwhile, Celtics star Jason Tatum breaks my heart hearing this news. No parent should ever have to lose their child. Praying for the families of those kids and the teacher. This is devastating. Here's more reaction from Steph Curry and Natasha Cloud of the Washington Mystics.
It's kind of hard to, stay focused on going out and playing basketball and knowing, what happened, in this state. And I got kids, send them to school every day, drop them off. And you feel for the parents that are, going through what they're going through. I can't even imagine the pain. So for Coach to come up here and say what he said, and every word that he said was powerful, was meaningful.
This game doesn't matter. The 18 lives and the number is going up by the minute. The 18 lives that were lost today from senseless gun violence in Texas at an elementary school. We're talking about our kids not being safe to go to school. And our government is still not implementing sensible gun laws. This isn't about taking people's rights away from bearing arms. This is about putting sensible gun laws in so this doesn't happen again. Please check on your loved ones. If you see crazy online, please send it to someone, send it to the police, send it to anybody. But if our government's not going to do our job, then we got to do our job and come together as a community, because this is absolutely ridiculous at this point.
Stephen A., I tweeted a picture of the faces of those little children, and it's just devastating. This is the 212th mass shooting in 2022. It's been widely reported. We're 144 days in, 27th school shooting. You heard LeBron say school should be a sanctuary, places of worship. We had senior citizens in Buffalo going to the grocery store. It's a crisis, and it should be a bipartisan issue. This is about human life. And when did it become so cheap? And I know you're sick to your stomach as well.
Without question. And it's pretty difficult to talk about sports today. We'll do it anyway. It's part of our job, and we'll do that later on. It's very, very difficult. I was listening to Keyshawn Johnson talking about not wanting his kids to go to the mall by themselves. I relate to what he's saying because I have 2 daughters, and I don't allow them to go to the mall by themselves. And teenagers, I'm not letting that happen because of the crazy world that we're living in. And that's something to be brought up. there's no question about it. Your heart goes out to the family and the loved ones of these kids. And then to watch the news and to see a little 8-year-old boy here, a little 10-year-old boy there. They said most of the kids who were killed were 10 years and younger. Actually, all of them, along with the 2 adults. So we're talking about children. And Doggy, I know you can relate to this because I remember listening to your show years ago when the tragedy took place at Sandy Hook Elementary School in Connecticut. On that particular day, 28 people were killed. 2 more were injured. The shooter, Adam Lanza, if I remember correctly, he had murdered his mother prior to going to the elementary school and killing kids. And so this is not the first time we've seen this happen. We've seen shootings in Colorado. We've seen shootings in Florida. We've heard about all of these things. We've seen it. It's absolutely positively tragic. And I want to applaud the Steve Kerrs of the world, the Greg Popoviches of the world, the Steph Currys of the world, the LeBron James of the world, the Natasha Clouds of the world. And the list goes on and on of athletes and sports figures who want to bring attention to this issue. Let me crystallize it for us even more. It is important that we recognize that no one is engaging in hyperbole as they express themselves emotionally. When Steve Kerr calls out politicians, he's absolutely right. When Natasha Cloud calls out politicians, she's absolutely right. When we talk about the need for us to step up and step forward and do it ourselves, if Capitol Hill ain't gonna do it, they're absolutely right, because the time has come to call out these politicians. We elected these officials to go up on Capitol Hill and get things done. They're not getting it done. They're more petulant than we are. They're more petulant with one another than children are, for crying out loud. And I'm not joking about this. The fact of the matter is that we have a situation where November 8th of 2022, November 8th of this year, is coming up. And I made sure to have these notes down because I want to bring this up to the American people right now. There's a total of 469 seats in the United States Congress, all right? 34 Senate seats, all 435 House seats are up for election in November of 2008. The only issue, and there's really no issue that I took with Steve Kerr, with what he said, because he was right on the money, I did not like the fact that he mentioned Mitch McConnell and stopped there. We have Democrats that take up 50 seats. We have 2 independents that caucus with the Democrats, seats essentially in the Senate. We have a Democrat in the White House. We have Democrats in the House in the House of Congress as a majority. I believe it's like 221 to 8 with 6 seats available. Why can't you get stuff done? We hear that people are working on a bipartisan level, but somehow, some way, stuff still doesn't get done. It's really, really time to hold these politicians accountable, because the level of petulance that they engage in is what's stalling our level of productivity as it pertains to getting things done. If you, Doggy, are going to sit around, okay, you're an elected official, and okay, we want to pass this bill for gun control, okay, but then you tried to slide something in there about infrastructure or whatever it is that has absolutely nothing to do with gun control. And somebody on the opposite side says we disagree with that, so we're not going to sign a bill. But then you go on national TV and misrepresent their positions by saying, hey, excuse me, they wouldn't vote for this bill. All of a sudden, you're lying to them. You create a divide. As a result, negotiations stall. Nobody wants to get anything done, and then ultimately nothing gets done. If you're going to sit in somebody's face and talk about them like trash the minute the cameras start rolling, how are you able to then go behind the scenes and get something done when your priority is saving face and looking good so you can maintain your seat in that elected office instead of actually going there to get things done? That is what politics in the nation's capital has regressed to. And so I close by saying that's where the problem really, really lies. They're not putting they're not the ones who actually shot and killed people. We understand that. But we also know there are laws in this land that could be implemented. There are laws in this land that could be enforced, that should be followed, that we have not put forth our level of due diligence necessary to make sure that we're living in a safe and civilized society. Mayhem continues to be put on display. And the leaders that we rely upon to do something about us have sold us out just so they can maintain office. So if I'm Steve Kerr or anyone else, what I say is don't name just one name and don't name just one side. It's every single one of them. They have sold out America because they don't get things done. It's that simple.
Well, let me say a couple things here right out of the gate. Number one, something is wrong with the United States of America when an 18-year-old kid on his birthday goes out there and buys 2 assault weapons, rifles. In May, this kid, 18 years old, can't have a drink in Texas. Would you allow your kid, if he came home at 18, hey, Mom, look what I got for my birthday, I bought 2 assault rifles. You go crazy. He didn't have that parental supervision. Nobody checked. Nobody did anything. So Kerr's 1,000% right. Secondly, all the folks who make a big deal, this is about mental illness. Well, how come this doesn't happen in Britain? I was in Ireland. There's no mental illness in Ireland? France, Spain, Germany, Italy. You don't see this happening in those countries because the gun availability is not there. You are not a 15-year-old kid at a boarding school in Britain who can walk into a gun shop and buy 330 magazines and 5 assault weapons. You can in the United States. And although Biden, the president, he says all he wants, do something. Obama did after Sandy Hook. He did everything he could. Nobody followed suit. And although I try to play it right down the middle, I vote both Republican and Democrat. I vote for the best man all the time. In the history of since 1980, vote for the best man. Bottom line is, in this particular situation, Kerr's right. It's about the Republicans in that Senate who are wrapped up with the NRA and all the gun lobbyists and everything else who are afraid. There's 310 million guns in America for 300 million people who are afraid that if they get tough here, that somehow they're going to get knocked out of office because their states love guns. Love guns. Do you think everybody brings up the Second Amendment. What do you think George Washington, Sam Adams, Jefferson, Ben Franklin, what do you think they're thinking about right now? You think they thought this? There was no police. There was no state militia back in 1780 when they did the state Second Amendment. It's not the same thing. This is totally different today. I mean, it's ridiculous. You're going to bring up the Second Amendment, well, I have my right to have guns, and you're going to bring up something that was passed in 1780 and say that applies to today? That is absolutely absurd. And the other thing, Abbott, the governor, and again, I play it right down the middle. Cruz, that senator. And how about the representative of that community that in West San Antonio and West Texas? They all voted no on gun control deals in March. They voted no on it. And then Adam yesterday gives me this big deal about how we're heartbroken. Well, you had a chance to do something about it. You did nothing. And where are they going on Friday, half of them? To an NAR convention in Houston, Texas, for crying out loud. Houston, Texas. It's absolutely absurd. America, shape up, wake up, and do something. I don't care what it is. And yes, there are a million reasons why we have all these 18-year-old kids who feel disconnected and feel like they got to go out there and blow up a supermarket, a school, a movie theater in Colorado with armor on. They're disconnected. But I can't look at every computer. I can't look at every social media post. I can't look at every Instagram thing to see what these